Imagine waking up in the dead of night, not to the gentle hum of your home, but to the terrifying realization that someone is inside. Someone who has bypassed every lock, every alarm, and is now standing over your bed, a shadowy figure of pure terror. This was the chilling reality for countless victims in California during the mid-1980s, stalked by a man who embraced pure evil. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Today, we'll delve into the horrifying reign of Richard Ramirez. We'll explore the dark roots of his childhood, the escalating brutality of his home invasion crimes, the frantic manhunt that gripped an entire state, and his eventual capture and twisted legacy. It's a story that laid bare the vulnerability of seemingly safe homes and the chilling indifference of a truly depraved killer. Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5 children to Mexican immigrant parents. His father, a railway laborer, was a volatile alcoholic, prone to violent outbursts that often involved physical abuse. Even as a child, Richard reportedly suffered head injuries that some believe contributed to later neurological issues. Ramirez's troubled childhood was further marred by the influence of his older cousin, Miguel Valles, a Vietnam War veteran. Miguel, suffering from PTSD, allegedly bragged about wartime atrocities, showing Richard graphic photos of dismembered women. Most disturbing of all, when Richard was just 15, he witnessed Miguel fatally shoot his wife in the face during an argument. This horrific event, rather than traumatizing him, reportedly fascinated young Richard, deepening his interest in the macabre. By his teens, Ramirez was already exhibiting concerning behaviors. He began experimenting with drugs like marijuana and LSD at a young age, and as he dropped out of high school, he fell deeper into petty crime, including burglary. He also developed a strong fascination with Satanism and the occult, a belief system that would later become a public spectacle during his trials. He'd even take jobs that gave him access to people's homes, like working at a Holiday Inn, where he would use master keys to commit robberies. In 1982, at the age of 22, Ramirez moved to California, settling permanently in Los Angeles. Here, his drug use escalated, with cocaine becoming his substance of choice. His addiction fueled a need for money, leading to a spree of burglaries. It was during this period that his criminal behavior began to evolve, taking on a far more sinister dimension. While his most notorious rampage began in 1984, some of Ramirez's earlier violent acts weren't immediately linked to him. In April 1984, for instance, a 9-year-old girl, Mei Leung, was brutally murdered in San Francisco, a crime that wouldn't be connected to Ramirez through DNA until 2009. These isolated incidents were grim precursors to the terror to come. Ramirez's burglaries gradually became more violent. He began incorporating sexual assaults and increasingly brutal attacks into his home invasions. He was no longer just stealing. He was inflicting terror, satisfying deeply disturbing fantasies. He learned to exploit the normalcy of suburban life, targeting homes with open windows or unlocked doors, turning everyday security into a gateway for horror. The terror officially began for Los Angeles on June 28, 1984, when 79-year-old Jenny Vinkow was found brutally murdered in her Glassell Park apartment. She had been stabbed repeatedly and her throat slashed, almost to the point of decapitation. She was also sexually assaulted. This was the first murder definitively linked to what would become the Night Stalker. After Vinkow's murder, there was a period of calm for several months, leading some to believe the killer had moved on. But in March 1985, Ramirez re-emerged with chilling ferocity. He shot Angela Barr, who survived but killed her roommate Dale Okazaki. Later that same day, he abducted and fatally shot another woman from her car. The randomness and brutality were escalating, and police began to realize they were dealing with a serial killer. In the following months, the attacks became more frequent and shockingly indiscriminate. Victims ranged from young children to elderly couples. He used a variety of weapons, guns, knives, hammers, even a tire iron, and left behind signatures of his depravity, including pentagrams drawn on walls or victims' bodies. The media, struggling to name this elusive killer who struck under the cover of darkness, dubbed him the Night Stalker. Fear gripped Los Angeles and then spread. Ramirez's modus operandi was to enter homes late at night through unlocked doors or windows. Once inside, he would unleash unspeakable violence, shooting, beating, stabbing, sexually assaulting, and sometimes mutilating his victims. His attacks were not just about murder. They were about sadistic control and terror. He forced victims to swear on Satan and desecrated crime scenes with satanic symbols. As the summer of 1985 progressed, the Night Stalker's reign of terror expanded from Los Angeles into the San Francisco Bay Area. Communities were paralyzed with fear. People slept with guns, barricaded doors and windows, and organized neighborhood watch groups. Sales of firearms and security devices skyrocketed. Every dark shadow, every unusual noise became a source of extreme anxiety. Beyond the sheer brutality, Ramirez left a disturbing trail of evidence. His unique shoe prints from obvious sneakers were found at multiple crime scenes, and his fascination with Satanism manifested in the pentagrams he'd leave behind, a chilling taunt to law enforcement and a declaration of his dark allegiance. He reveled in the fear he created, often closely following news reports of his own crimes. The list of victims and the horrific nature of their attacks grew longer. In March, an 8-year-old girl was sexually assaulted and killed. In May, he severely beat 2 elderly sisters with a hammer, leaving one dead and drawing a pentagram on the survivor's thigh. In July, he sexually assaulted a 6-year-old girl, and later that month, he sexually assaulted an 8-year-old boy in front of his mother. The sheer depravity and randomness defied comprehension. Law enforcement agencies faced immense pressure and frustration. The random nature of the attacks, the varied victim profiles, and the multiple jurisdictions made it incredibly difficult to connect the crimes. However, persistent detectives began to piece together fragments of evidence. Those distinctive shoe prints, witness descriptions of a gaunt, long-haired man, and similarities in the gruesome methods. The tide turned in August 1985. Following a home invasion in which a couple was attacked and the wife sexually assaulted, police recovered a critical piece of evidence, a fingerprint. Crucially, a newly implemented computerized fingerprint system allowed for a rapid match. The print belonged to Richard Ramirez, who had a record of minor offenses. His name and mugshot were instantly released to the public. On August 31st, 1985, just 6 days after his last known murder, the public's awareness of the Night Stalker reached its peak. Ramirez, unaware his face was plastered across every newspaper, attempted to steal a car in East Los Angeles. He was immediately recognized by a group of citizens who, fueled by fear and righteous anger, converged on him. They chased and beat him until police arrived, finally bringing his reign of terror to an end. It was a dramatic, citizen-led capture that captivated the nation. Richard Ramirez's trials were a bizarre and unsettling spectacle. He reveled in the notoriety, flashing pentagrams drawn on his palm, and declaring "Hail Satan" in the courtroom. He showed no remorse, often staring down or sneering at his victims and their families. Despite the theatrics, the evidence against him was overwhelming, built on fingerprints, shoe prints, and eyewitness testimony. In September 1989, Ramirez was found guilty of 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. He received 19 death sentences. His response was chillingly indifferent. Big deal. Death always went with the territory. The judge, in delivering the sentence, remarked that his crimes displayed cruelty, callousness, and viciousness beyond any human understanding. Ramirez spent over 2 decades on death row at San Quentin State Prison, appealing his convictions. During this time, he married Doreen Leoe, a fan who corresponded with him. He never confessed to additional crimes beyond those he was convicted for, nor did he express any remorse. On June 7, 2013, Richard Ramirez died at the age of 53 from complications of B-cell lymphoma, bringing a quiet end to the life of one of America's most terrifying serial killers. The Night Stalker case forever changed how Californians, and indeed all Americans, viewed home security. It highlighted the chilling reality that pure evil could strike anyone, anywhere, regardless of age or background. His random, brutal, and satanically tinged crimes left an indelible mark on the public psyche and served as a stark reminder of the darkest corners of human depravity. His story remains a terrifying cautionary tale of a monster who truly lived up to his self-proclaimed title. What aspect of the Night Stalker case do you find most disturbing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're drawn to understanding the psychology of true crime, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into notorious cases.